Hey guys, it's Kira from Nicole Photography. We are back with week 2 of helpful tips for brides-to-be. Last week we just talked about how the first thing you need to do is sit down and set your budget and then create a wedding email so you can keep all of your wedding related things separate from your personal email. And then also to hop onto Wedding Wire and create accounts so it can give you a custom timeline of everything that you need to do and when it needs to be done by. So this week we're going to talk a little bit about theme and style and how that's going to help you pick your first 2 vendors that you're going to want to book right away shortly after you get engaged. So you can hop onto Pinterest, and this is one of the good things about Pinterest is that you can just get some ideas if you're not sure what kind of style you want to go with. So you might want to go with just a classic modern style. You might want to go with a nautical preppy style. Maybe you want a contemporary dark moody style. Whatever it is, whatever you like, that's gonna help you pick your wedding venue. So once you've decided on a theme, then you can actually hop onto Wedding Wire. You can punch in where you want to get married, so the general location like Baltimore, Annapolis, Frederick, doesn't have to be too specific. And then on the side, they'll have a checklist and you can check off what style venue you're looking for. So for example, if you're looking for that classic modern style, you're gonna wanna be looking at ballrooms, mansions, those kind of venues. So what that'll do is it'll narrow it down because there are so many venues in the Maryland area. It can be very overwhelming. So if you pick that style and that theme and narrow your search by that, it's just gonna help you not feel so overwhelmed. And I recommend looking at about 3 to 6 venues. I would say no more than 6 because again, you're just gonna get lost. You're gonna start to feel indecisive. It's just not gonna be very helpful. So use that tool on Wedding Wire to kind of narrow down the styles and go through that list and kind of start there. So the same thing applies when you go to choose your photographer. So you're gonna want to choose a photographer who has a similar style to the style that you choose for your wedding day and for your venue. So if you are choosing like a whimsical garden style, you're gonna want a photographer that might be like a light airy and can do cool compositions with flowers and that kind of thing. If you're getting married at like the glass blowing studio downtown, you're gonna want a photographer that does really cool stuff with artificial lighting, maybe has more of a dark and moody style. So just make sure you're keeping that in mind when you choose your photographer. Wedding Wire allows you to search for photographers by style, so that will again help eliminate a lot of people so you're not so overwhelmed. Another thing to keep in mind with choosing your photographer is personality. So when you're reaching out to your photographers that you're interested in, it's a good idea to either get on the phone with them or even if they're available to meet them for coffee. You will spend a lot of time with your photographer on your wedding day, more than anybody else that's there. So you want to make sure that your personalities, they go well together, you guys can get along, you enjoy being around each other, you have fun with one another. That's going to really make sure that you and your photographer have a great connection, which will yield beautiful images because you're going to feel comfortable behind the camera with them. Another thing to keep in mind is budget. So a lot of the photographers that are in that $3,000 to $5,000 range are going to have lots of years of experience. They've probably shot at least 30 weddings, which means they've probably seen it all and they know what to do in any circumstance. They're probably also going to have liability insurance, and a lot of venues actually require that insurance in order to be able to shoot there, and it just protects the photographer in case anything were to happen. The other thing that those photographers in that range are going to have is probably top of the line gear and artificial lighting, which just makes sure that they can create beautiful imagery no matter what kind of crazy lighting situations they've got going on. One last thing I wanted to mention is just to keep a little bit of money aside for envelopes and stamps. So you're gonna be sending out your wedding invitations, so you're gonna need envelopes and stamps for that. And then also to get your response cards back, you're gonna wanna send your guests an envelope that has a stamp on it so they can get that response back to you. So you need to save some money for that. You also need to save some money for taxes. So a lot of vendors will give you their base price, and then also when you choose them and book them, they're gonna have to add on 6% sales tax. That's what it is in Maryland. And so that could be a couple $100s right there. And then you have, 5, 6 wedding vendors plus all of your stamps and envelopes, it can add up to about maybe $1,000, maybe $2,000. It really depends on how many vendors you have and how many people you've invited to your wedding. It's just something to keep in mind that I wanted to share with you. That tip came from a past bride, so thankful for that. So just to recap today, so I really just want you to be able to pick that wedding day style, go on Pinterest, figure out what you like, because that's gonna keep you in one lane and it's gonna keep you focused and prevent you from getting overwhelmed from all of the choices that there are that you have to make for your wedding day. And then also to pick a venue and a photographer that aligns with that style. And again, with the photographer, making sure that you are comfortable with them and that you are willing to invest money in their expertise and experience, because that's gonna give you the best images possible. Hope this was helpful. I'll see you next week.